Some things were never meant to be controlled. Things like the director's chair being taken over by a bad writer. Geostorm is a new disaster flick that takes place in the year 2022, which in the movie is an election year. Try explaining that. Whatever the case, in this futuristic Earth, we now have the technology needed to control the weather. Gerard Butler plays the meteorologist who designed the climate-controlling satellites, and during one of his missions up in space, the system seems to go through malfunctions, causing numerous catastrophic events worldwide. But it soon becomes apparent that these are not accidents and are being carried out by a government conspiracy. This movie is directed by Dean Devlin, who has made his career as the writer for most of Roland Emmerich's movies, which even at their most exciting were pretty poorly written. I figured there would be a similar result with him as the director as well as the writer, however, it only proved to exacerbate the quality. Geostorm is a very boring disaster flick. In fact, it doesn't even really work as a disaster flick because it's very unfocused. What made other disaster films like San Andreas such an enjoyable experience despite their absurdity is that they centralized a few different perspectives going through the same turmoil, and thus you get more of a sense of the gravity of the situation, and at the same time you're entertained. Geostorm is only seldom about the survival aspect. It's more about the politics and the unmasking of this conspiracy. Because that's what people want to take center stage in a disaster movie, right? Even when the action gets going and we're following the main people trying to evade the peril, it will cut away to different parts of the world where other various disasters are going on, and for about a minute each, it will put emphasis on a single individual who's caught up in the chaos, someone who's given no introduction and is never heard from again after escaping. This disorganized editing and structure deprecates whatever entertainment value there could have been. The acting is there. Gerard Butler is fine, but between this, Gods of Egypt, and London Has Fallen, he hasn't been making very good starring choices lately. Ed Harris is in this movie as the US Secretary of State, and he's at his worst. There's a scene where he gets in a heated argument, and he goes borderline Nick Cage. It's very unlike him. And the human story is aggressively shallow. Gerard Butler, of course, has a daughter waiting for him back home, and he's made a promise to her to return from space. Later in the movie, when she's watching news footage of the space station he's on blowing up, she's like, "No, he will come back, he promised." How is it so hard for kids in these movies to comprehend? If your dad is in a life-threatening situation, he could very well die, and if he dies, there's not much of anything he can do about keeping the promise to come back. Even the special effects were unfinished. Some of the outer space shots looked alright, but the rendering of the natural disasters was anywhere from passable to flat-out garbage. There's a scene where this passenger plane falls out of the sky, and when it lands in the city, it almost appears to dissolve as opposed to crash. This movie had a bigger budget than San Andreas, and somehow the effects came out looking about a third as good. This movie also has several stupid moments that are small, but they're so brainless it's irking. There's one guy who's in a car trying to escape these pipe explosions that are blowing up from the ground. He gets a spray of dust to his windshield, and he just wipes it out of the way of his vision. While still inside the car. What, is his hand just like one of those cleaning magnets that you use to scrape algae off the walls of your fish aquarium from the outside? In the end, Geostorm is a jumbled, disorganized, and nonsensical blockbuster that has a decent premise, but is narratively empty and trades escapist action for thrillless mayhem. I was hoping for big dumb fun, but it just settled for big and dumb. There is only a 29% chance of Geostorm making it into my DVD collection. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review helpful. Like if you liked, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.